Hello everyone, welcome to Southern Wreaths. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this really cool everyday wreath. I did it different with the ribbons, and I'm going to show you how I did that. These are the supplies I used to make this wreath. I'm going to start by adding my pipe cleaners to my 14-inch wire frame. I add a pipe cleaner to each crossbar for the two center rings. And then on the outside, I'll just pick a random crossbar to start. It's usually where I ended with the ones in the middle. And I'll twist it 3 times, and then I'll lay it across the wreath. And where that pipe cleaner ends is where I'll add my next one. And I'll show you that here. I end up with 6 ties on the inside and 8 on the outside, so 14 total. Okay, and now I'm just going to lay this along the frame, and where that one ends is where I'm going to add my next one. And I'll do that going all the way around. The last tie usually lines up with the first. Okay, so I'm going to do the ruffle method with this wreath, and it's just easier for me to cut the mesh at the same time. These are both 10-inch meshes. One is like a white iridescent, and the other one is a black foil mesh. They're both really pretty. The foil mesh has a lot more shine to it. It does fray a little bit more than the regular iridescent mesh, but I tuck in the ends, and I'll show you how I do that as I ruffle it, so it doesn't really make a huge difference. And I'm going to cut these at 24 inches. And I'm just using my mat to measure that out. So I pull it over to the 24-inch mark, and then I put my fingers at the beginning, and I push it over. This is just so, 1, it's easier to cut in the middle, and 2, I don't like to cut over and over again on the same spot because eventually it'll wear down. I know it says self-healing mat, but mine doesn't always heal. So I'll go through and cut 14. It'll be 14 of each color. And now I'm just going to ruffle them, and I'm going to alternate white on top, black on the bottom, black on top, white on the bottom. And to do my ruffle, I like to use something heavy at the end, and then I just ruffle it up. And I'm going to use my bow dabber to hold it in place, just so I'm not messing with the mesh too much. I find when I add it into the tie and then open it and add more, sometimes I get a lot more fraying. Okay, so see how I curled underneath the bottom? I kind of like made a fold. And then I'm just going to ruffle the wreath, and then the ribbon, the mesh. I'll get there. So at the end, I just let that naturally curl at the end of the ruffle. So once you pull them around each other to make the pretty like circle, and I'll show you that too here in a second, you can't really tell that it's curled under, especially when you overlap them really well. I like to twist 1 1/2 just to make sure it's secure. So here I'm just fluffing out my ruffle. It reminds me of coffee filters. And I just kind of overlap each end. But you'll see with the black one, you can't see that I folded the 2 ends, and you can't see any of the unraveling. And if you do get a little bit on the top layer, you can just trim it away with scissors. And here, I'll show you again. And you don't have to put something heavy, it's just easier for me to work with stuff when it's flat. And you don't have to use the bow dabber. You can hold it in your hand, or you can go ahead and add it in there, or use a chip clip, or any way that's comfortable to you. And see, this one went kind of crooked as I was ruffling it, and I can fix all that once I get it into my pipe cleaner. And I try my best to get to the right of the center, so that when I place the pipe cleaner, or place it on top of the pipe cleaner, I can get it dead center, because you want it to be as symmetrical as possible since it's going to be a circle. It's okay if it's off a little bit, but you can really tell with ruffles if it's off by a lot, because it'll stick out more. And you do want to fluff them up against each other so you get a nice, ruffly ruffle. So after I did the outside, I'm just going to show you how I start the inside before it gets too messy. Because you can kind of lose pipe cleaners in the mix, so you just want to count as you're going. Which, if you cut enough mesh, you don't really have to worry about counting, because you'll know, hey, I have ribbon left, or mesh left. And you can see how hard I'm actually twisting that I just jerked my hand right off of it. But I do want it tight. I don't want it to come undone. And since I won't be opening it again, I really wanted it to be super tight. And then I'll just go around the center and finish doing that. So I was playing around with how I wanted to make this wreath. I just want to freeze it here for a second and show you what I did, or talk about what I did. I was playing around with the center, and that's why I didn't record it, because I wasn't sure if that's the way I was going to go. And I also ran out of ribbon and had to wait until my order came in of more. I am making loops, like a bow, instead of the regular piece of ribbon. One, this uses a whole lot more ribbon than, like, literally double of what you would normally use in a wreath this size. It looks really cool, especially when you're done, if you move around everything, and I'll show you that when I get to that point. But I went back and forth with either making tiny bows and adding them to it, or doing individual loops, and I ended up coming up with what I'm about to show you. I went through and cut a lot of ribbon at 24 inches. I'm folding this piece of ribbon in half to find the center, and then I'm just going to fold them over on themselves. Each one is about a square over the crease mark, so it ends up being about 5-inch loops on each side instead of 6. So if you wanted it bigger, you would just cut it a little bit bigger. And I've just got it pinched in the center, and I'm going to add it into my pipe cleaner. I'm only going to twist once. It's not a super like tight, it's not a super all the way around twist, just enough to keep it there while I'm doing my next loops. So you can see kind of that I'm going over the crease with each end of the ribbon, just so it all stays together when I pinch it. Now I'm going to twist 3 times just to get it really secure, and then roll it down with a pipe cleaner. And then to fluff it, I just put my hands, fingers in it and fluff it up. It's exactly like a bow. And here I'll show you again. I fold it in half. At the crease, I go over one little square mark. I think it's about 1/2 inch. And I do that on each side, and I pinch it, and then I add it into the pipe cleaner and do it again. And you can use different color ribbons with this. You can just do one piece of ribbon to where you just have the 2 loops in each section. This was a custom order, and she wanted it to have lots of ribbon. And so this is what I came up with. And at first it looks really separated, and at the end I show you how I kind of move things around to give it a really nice full look. And I'll go around and do that for the entire wreath. So this is what it looks like. And my customer didn't want a sign. She's going to put her own sign on, but I was just showing you that you can put different signs on and they would look really nice. And this is a wreath you can leave up all year long. If anyone's interested in following me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at Southern Wreaths More, on Facebook at Southern Wreaths, and I also have a Facebook group called Southern Wreaths and More. I also have all of these links in the description below. So once I went through and finished the wreath, I did not like how separated the outside and inside looked, so I was just going through and moving things around. I was pulling ribbon to the outside, pushing some to the inside, and just giving it a little more mixed up look and a fuller look. That's it. That's how I made my wreath. If y'all have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can always email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for watching, and if y'all learned anything today, or if you like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.